Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to the last day of January. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a Monday edition. Hang on, I got to send a text here. It's coming to you. All right, so it's Monday. We've got a lot to talk about. Great football games once again. A lot of good basketball as well over the weekend. Let's go to the Titan Elm, our hotline, and we're joined by Vince Ferragamo, Pat Hayden, Eric Dickerson,
James Harris.
Good morning, JC.
Hey, man. Hey, QB. Wow, what a great day Championship Sunday was, man. I tell you, these last two weekends, the NFL really shined, and I got to say, those two games yesterday did not disappoint. Certainly, when it could have gotten really ugly in that first game. You got to hand it to the adjustments the Bengals made. I just keep thinking about, the fact that 5 weeks ago, it almost seemed the same thing happened. How they basically, I think what they did was, and you can tell me more, QB, but they quit rushing. I think they rushed three guys, and they brought 8 players back, 8 defenders back, and that seemed to bother Kansas City a little bit. And I don't think Andy Reid really adjusted. And this is the second time that the Bengals, who were clearly the worst team in football just 2 years ago and who hadn't been to a Super Bowl in over 30 years, have to be the most surprising story that we've had in a long time in the NFL. What a story they are.
Yeah, so, it goes to show you, everybody talks about there's usually about 4 or 5 plays in a football game that pretty much determine the outcome. And the Chiefs dominated the first half. They had 290-something yards of offense. But the last play of the first half kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. They kick a field goal there. They go up 24-10. Mm-hmm. Bengals have no momentum. And give the Bengals credit. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I said it when he played at LSU. Mm-hmm. I thought Joe Burrow was Tom Brady-like with athleticism. And he's lost a little bit of that athleticism due to his knee injury. But the dude is a player, just a phenomenal football player. The other game, you look at one play that changed the outcome of that when the 49ers guy dropped the interception.
Yeah.
He catches that interception, game's over.
It's over. It's over. And I certainly didn't see the Rams getting, the last 13 points in the game and coming back from 10 down in that one quarter to win it. But, this is the thing. You get a quarterback, he gets a couple good breaks, and your whole fortunes just change overnight. And that's why it shouldn't take 3 or 4 or 5 years to rebuild a team or a franchise. And it certainly has not in Cincinnati. It's taken 2. And the amazing thing about Joe Burrow is everybody forgets Joe Burrow, the first year he played at LSU was a nobody. I mean, in his first year, they lost. I think Alabama shut him out. They just weren't that good. In his second year, he wins the Heisman Trophy and they win the national title. And here we are in Cincinnati. He gets hurt in the first year. And then in the second year in Cincinnati, of all places, this guy's heading to the Super Bowl. And they beat a Kansas City team that I think was as good as anybody and could have easily been favored to win the Super Bowl. They were as good as anybody, and yet they just couldn't get Cincinnati. They just couldn't pull away. And I agree with you. If he kicks a field goal before the half, man, that changes a lot of things. 3 points are so important. Sometimes Andy Reid makes these mistakes. He doesn't adapt to the situation a lot of times and takes chances that otherwise might be looked upon as being a little bit too risky. So good for the Bengals, good for the Rams. Half the stadium was full of San Francisco fans, and we hadn't beat them in 6 tries, but they beat them this time. So.
We got a bunch of Facebook Lives brought to you by Melton Law.
Yeah.
John says, no QB has ever won the Heisman National Championship in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has an opportunity to do that. Yes. Rick says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, best 2 weeks of football I've ever seen, and I am old. I agree with that. Dan says Pat Mahomes' only playoff losses are 2 overtime losses. I mean, you think about it.
Wow.
JC, we were on a text feed. This guy had a chance to go to his 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years as a starter. And I was shocked at how they played in the second half. I mean, I don't know what they were doing wrong, and I don't know what you got to give the Bengals credit. The Bengals made plays, but good gracious, they kind of they gave that game away.
Well, I saw some stats, QB, where the Bengals dropped 8 into coverage twice as often in the second half as they did in the first half, and they brought 3 pass rushers 35% of the time, which was a season high for them. So they made changes, and they did the same thing 5 weeks ago when the Chiefs were running up and down the field on them. They just made changes that worked, and they dominated.
Well, I'm gonna make a prediction right now.
Yeah.
The Bengals cannot block the St. Louis Rams. I mean, the LA Rams. They can't. Right. It's going to be a bloodbath. I could be wrong, but I don't know. If you ask any football expert, how in the world, because people will tell you the Bengals offensive line is not very good, how they're going to block the front 4 for the Rams.
Yeah,
I have no idea. No idea. I'm anxious to see.
They also like to run a lot of empty formations, QB. I mean, they don't protect that often in the quarterback. I mean, he gets put on the ground more than anybody in the league. So credit to him for getting up, but they don't. You're right. Donald and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller are going to tee off, I think. Yeah. And that's what you'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, Joseph said Chiefs thought the same thing. The Chiefs' defensive front is not even close to the LA Rams front. You have superstars, all pros, some of the best that's ever played the game on the Rams front 4. So the Bengals couldn't block the Titans. You're right. But here's the difference, John. The Titans have no offense. The Rams can score at any point. So I'm so happy for Matt Stafford. I've been a big fan of his. The things that he has done for while he was on a terrible team, terrible franchise. If you don't know much about Matt Stafford, take off your orange and blue glasses, read about him. Tremendous kid, does a lot for the communities, just a heck of a football player. And I thought he played extremely well yesterday as well.
QB, you had to love that touchdown pass to Cup on 3rd and 13 where he just put it right there in the corner.
He did, but let me go. That's another play. The corner. All they did was run a high-low corner route by Cooper Kupp, and they had to back in the flat. So that's called a high-low against cover 2. You're high-low in the corner. The dumbass corner for the 49ers has to understand the situation. It's 3rd and 13. You don't bite up on the flat route. The flat route is to get you to bite up, to throw it over your head. There's no reason to bite up. Play back, make them force it underneath, come up, make the tackle. They have to kick the field goal. Yeah, it's just little things like that. Guys not understanding the situation will drive you insane as a coach.
But that pass just showed how strong.
That was a great throw. The dude is an elite thrower. Both of these guys. I go back between Stafford, Burrow, and
Josh Allen.
Well, no, he didn't play yesterday. Mahomes. No, those guys are elite throwers of the football. It is scary how good they are.
Yeah, they are. And, Odell Beckham gets out of jail and wherever he was, Cleveland. He and Kupp combined for, I think they had 20 catches for almost 300 yards yesterday and 2 touchdowns, which were both from Kupp. This is where the Rams are being able to use Stafford because they can stretch that field now. And I don't think Jared Goff gave them that threat as often as Matthew Stafford can with these guys on the outside. And Robert Woods, they're doing this without him, but he was an integral part of that offense before Beckham got there. And they used him a lot of the same way too.
Yeah, Joseph says on Facebook Live, dropping that pick that hit him in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
That was the play of the game. He catches that. There's no way the Rams probably win that game.
Probably not.
We'll talk more. We'll get more of your Facebook Lives here on brought to you by Meldon Law. We got a couple of texts on the Titan MR text line I need to get to while they come up here. Well, I thought I had one. I guess I didn't.
Another thing that Stafford hasn't done that's really helped the Rams is throw a lot of interceptions in the playoff games. Yeah, he has, I think in the last 4 games, he's only thrown 1 interception. Now, that one we talked about should have been picked, but that one pickoff came in the first quarter against the Niners yesterday, and that's the only interception the guy's thrown in the playoff game. So he's protected the football better, I think, in the playoffs than he did during the regular season, which is probably, one of the reasons why they're still playing.
Yeah, it was fun to watch that game. I think Kyle Shanahan and McVay are phenomenal play callers, and love to watch them scheme up. John says, "Who gave up on the Bengals when they were down 21-3?" Come on now, be honest. I said it was going to be a bloodbath. I didn't think the Bengals could cover. This was even before the game started. I think I said it on the show Friday. I said the secondary of the Bengals has 0 chance of covering. And first half, they had 300 yards of offense, and give the Bengals a lot of credit. Wrap Spot is expanding. It's opening its second location in the heart of Gainesville at 1931 North Main Street. Wrap Spot's teamed up with Vibrant Vinyl Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Go check them out and wrap your car with the Bengals tiger stripes.
Did you think the Chiefs were going to score at the end there? They're at the end of the game where Mahomes is basically just standing. And how did they?
Yeah. I have no idea. I thought the clock management, obviously they were trying to either end the game by scoring or at least going into overtime, not giving the ball back to the Bengals. But he took a big sack. I think they had the ball on like the 5-yard line, and it was first or second. I would have run the football there because
yes. You run the football, you keep the clock going, and you can do it that way. You've got timeouts. Again, this is Andy Reid. Sometimes it just catches up to him. The situation gets too big. I don't know.
Well, I don't know about that. He tries to outsmart himself, and he's got a tremendous guy who makes plays all the time. I get it, but I would have run two jet sweeps, one to Mecole Hardman, and the other one I would have run to Tyreek Hill, and then on third down, figure out maybe we got to throw it in the end zone. So
yeah, well. It was tremendous football, man. Just tremendous adjustments made by Cincinnati. The Rams stayed in there, could have died. And, we've got a Super Bowl I think a lot of folks would be interested in. I think Cincinnati, the state of Ohio has had very little to cheer about in the NFL. And here they are in the biggest game of the year. I just think it's great. To me, it's so much more exciting and interesting than having, again, Kansas City, play somebody like the 49ers. So this is more exciting, I think.
Joseph says, brought to you by Melvin Law. Cool fact, Chiefs calls overtime with 13 seconds left against the Bills, and the Chiefs turn the ball over in 13 seconds of overtime and lose to the Bengals. So, yeah, a lot of other stuff. We can continue talking about those games for sure. And then if you missed it, the SEC wins the SEC Big 12 Challenge, 6-4. Gators come from 16 down. Man, boy, they played extremely hard.
How about the Gators?
Made some shots when they had to make them. Didn't make anything in the first half, but give them credit. It was fun to watch. They're just so limited right now with no big men. I mean, Jatobo's out. Hopefully he'll be able to play basketball again. I was told the eye injury was very, very severe.
What about Castleton?
I don't know when Castleton's coming back. Shoulder injury. He did a lot of cheering on the sideline, though. I do know that.
Yeah. Well, they don't have to play until Wednesday this week. They don't have to play on Tuesday, so it's an extra day. They have to go to Missouri. I don't know. It's a sneaky game for them. Missouri's not one of your better teams in the league, but they're very capable. So I don't know. It's good that they're playing on Wednesday, I think. But I think the SEC showed up and made a good accounting for itself, winning 6 of those 10 games. And the Texas-Tennessee game could have gone either way for sure. The really only blowouts the SEC suffered was at the hands of Mississippi State losing to Texas Tech and Missouri getting blown out by Iowa State. Other than that, they were all pretty good games, I think.
Yeah, they were outstanding games. Kentucky just blew out Kansas. Like I told you, Kansas was 17-2. They are not the Kansas of old. Somehow they're winning games, but Kentucky played really well. Alabama, I thought Alabama would beat Baylor. They played outstanding. Auburn blows out Oklahoma. So the SEC, it was a great week when it comes time looking down the road for Selection Sunday. these games will help because these are two best conferences in basketball. So it will definitely help.
Yeah.
Back to football. Football. Chris says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law. What percentage of Ohio is Bengals fans? Seems like all my Ohio buddies are Browns fans.
Browns fans, yeah. Well, I think south of Columbus, it's all Cincinnati Bengals fans. Northern Kentucky, but I don't know. Maybe more Browns fans and live in Ohio than Bengals fans. I think that can change real quick, so very quickly. QB, the Alabama team that you mentioned that beat Baylor. I think they've lost 7 games or something like that. They lose to Georgia, but do you know they've beaten 3 of the 4 Final Four teams that played last year? They've beaten
about Alabama.
Yeah, they've beaten Houston, Gonzaga, and Baylor. So their resume is going to help them in spite of what their 13-7 record shows, for sure. I think their strength of schedule will help them as well. So that's kind of an interesting stat that they've played 3 of the 4 Final Four teams last year and won all those games. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so. I'm going to read some of these Facebook Lives and get y'all's thoughts here, brought to you by Melton Law. Joseph says, will the real Tampa Bay Buccaneers please stand up? The normal Tampa will be back now, losing the GOAT and lots of other players. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Technically, I guess Brady hasn't announced himself that he's retiring, but it looks that way. But yeah, Tampa's not going to be what they've been in the last couple of years. I can promise you that. The women's team had a good second half versus South Carolina. First time they had over 5,000 fans at the O-Dome in 23 years. Yeah, they got down like 19-3 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And they lost by 12 to the number 1 team in America. But
that's okay.
Kelly Ray Finley needs to be the head coach. So hopefully that will happen here soon.
I agree. Go ahead and sign her. I mean, just be done with it. And she can get out there and recruit. I like the way the women's basketball team's playing here. I don't care. There's no shame in losing to the best team in the country by 12 points. I mean, they tried. They played hard. They had a good crowd. I think this is a sport Gator fans can get behind because I think they've got the right person running it now. They haven't had that since Carol Ross, and that's been a long, long time. So very happy to see how hard they're playing. And the men's team, for all it's got, they fought, man. They fought, and coming back against the Oklahoma State team that's very capable of beating you at any given night is very noteworthy for Florida. So this is a big win, big weekend for the Gators.
Joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away. You need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Speaking with JC here on the Titan MR hotline. All right, some other news. Signing day is Wednesday. We'll find out. We're hoping to talk recruiting tomorrow. On Wednesday's show, we're going to have Vernon Maxwell. Ooh. So tune in for that. Mad Max will be joining us on the program. We'll talk a little bit about his career and about the Gator basketball team.
I remember him. He remembers me from high school, wandering the halls of Buchholz High School in the early 80s.
Do you think he really remembers you?
Hell yeah. He saw me when he played for the I think it was the Philadelphia 76ers one year. He was playing for them toward the end of his career, and I was in Phoenix at a conference, and I was down on the court, and he recognized me and waved and came over and said hi. Vernon will know who Johnny Cool was. Just say, hey, man, you remember Johnny Cool? Ask him if he remembers Johnny Cool. And Vernon he's a good player, man. Great player.
All right, so we got 5 Gators playing for Super Bowl rings. Let me see if all right, so we got Brandon Powell, Van Jefferson.
Yeah.
They're the Rams. You got McPherson.
Yeah.
Who else we got on the Bengals?
McPherson, and I want to say
I think Vernon Hargraves. I think he's hurt, or maybe he was hurt. I don't know if he's back playing. And then there's one other player. So that would be your 5 playing for a Super Bowl ring. And man, Evan McPherson is we knew he was a really good kicker, but he will last a long time in the National Football League. There's no question about
it. Yeah, good for him too, man. I mean, they really needed him, and he came through. I'm very happy for him. I'm happy for the Bengals. I was rooting for them hard. I think folks overlooked them, and I think they're the kind of team that you can be proud of.
I'll tell you. You want to hear a crazy story about the Cincinnati Bengals, JC?
Go ahead.
So when I was with the Redskins, Marvin Lewis was the defensive coordinator. He gets the head job in Cincinnati.
Right.
He came to me and he said, look, we got the number 1 overall pick in the draft. I want you to come with us and you can kind of mentor whoever.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right. So I weigh all my options because there were thousands on the table. So I ended up signing with the Bengals.
I remember.
They draft Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
Kitna was their starter. So it was me, John Kitna, and Carson. Carson didn't play one snap his entire rookie year. And boy, was he talented.
Mm-hmm.
But the Cincinnati Bengals did not provide Gatorade for their I was going to say their student athletes, for their professional athletes. And Marvin Lewis, that was the first thing he got changed. And it was just it was so weird going from like the Bears and the Redskins and the Panthers. I don't want to call them very top-notch organizations that did it right, to see what Marvin had to do to change the way the thinking was in Cincinnati.
Well, it's an amazing transformation. In 2 years, 2 years ago, they were the worst team in football, flat out.
Right.
And here they are. And it's a quarterback story to me. And, they drafted well. And I guess you got to give Coach Taylor a lot of credit. But to me, it's all about the quarterback. And, he's a winner. He's just a winner. We talked about this with some friends of mine who are Bengal fans last night. If he doesn't transfer out of Ohio State, you've mentioned this before, but I'll repeat it. If he doesn't transfer from Ohio State, none of this happens. None of it.
He's probably selling insurance.
He's out there selling
Athens, Ohio, in his hometown.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and again, his first year at LSU was bad. It didn't go well. They weren't good, and then it changed in the senior year.
Well, think about this, JC. Do you remember who the starter at Ohio State was when he was sitting on the bench?
Was it let's see. Who was the kid that
wasn't it Justin Fields?
No, it was the other one.
It was Justin Fields.
Was it? Really?
Yes. They're only 1 year apart.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Which quarterback would you like to have?
Yeah. I mean, you and I both talked about poor Justin. The game runs a little too fast for that.
John says it was JT Barrett. It may have been JT Barrett.
That's it. That was the one because he had initials. Yes.
But think about it. So
good job, John.
But it had to be Justin Fields was there 1 year, Burrow's last year, or maybe Burrow. I don't know. Anyway, my point is Joe Burrow is better than anybody they had on their roster.
Right.
This is interesting here. John says, brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And I've seen this picture, and we've talked about it, I believe, on the show. The Redskins at one time had Shanahan, Sean McVay, and LaFleur on their coaching staff, and they were still horrible. Well, let me tell you what made them good now. The guy taking the snaps for each one of those teams.
Got that. No question about it. I mean, you can just do so much more with a.
It was now somebody says it was Dwayne Haskins. Regardless of who it was, my point is, and Haskins was a first round pick. Fields is a first round pick.
Yeah,
they are nowhere near.
Not even
Joe Burrow is.
You can't even mention them in the same sentence as Joe Burrow.
Those other guys will not last in the league more than 4 years.
Dwayne Haskins. I don't even know if Dwayne Haskins is on a roster right now. But look at Stafford too, and it flips the other way around too. This is a guy marooned. He was exiled in Detroit for so many years. He's 33 years old, right? Never won a playoff game. He goes to a coach with Sean McVay's ability to do what he does on a team that's got maybe a few better players than the Lions, and now the guy has won his first 3 playoff games he won his 3 playoff games this year. He played great against Tampa, and I don't know why he didn't have as much success in the second half as he did in the first, but he played great against the Tampa Bay Bucks and on the road there. So we're going to set up for, I think, a tremendous game here. I really do. But I agree with you. I think the Rams are going to be all over the guy. I think they're going to be all over. But they'll make adjustments. The Bengals are.
We want it to be a good game. I don't know if okay. Some news and notes before we let you go around college football. Lane at Ole Miss has they've gotten Jackson Dart, the quarterback from USC, is now going to be an Ole Miss Rebel. JC, did you happen to see? I don't know what the hell Brian Kelly's doing down there in
This is just embarrassing. I mean, what is this? What is he doing to that poor recruit? What's that kid thinking? I got this creepy old man behind me doing something with his eyes.
He was like grinding on some of those players.
I feel so embarrassing. I don't know if it's working or not, but he sure does look like he's having fun. But it's so ridiculous. I can't help myself.
I don't get it. It's bizarre. It is so bizarre to me.
Is he just trying to fit in? I mean, is that what it is? He's trying to fit in?
I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to fit in or if he's just like, you know what? Everybody's made such a big deal about this when I tried to change my accent, and now I've been dancing with a couple of players. I'm just going to do it because it just gives us more publicity. I don't really know.
But why do they need that, dude? It's LSU.
I agree. It's just it makes me uncomfortable when I watch those.
Yes.
Kevin Steele, the longtime defensive coordinator, is going back to coaching. Maryland has hired him as the defensive coordinator for the Terps. I thought Zucker was their defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Where's DJ Durkin going to end up?
He's at A&M.
Oh, he went to A&M. Okay.
So that's my point. Ole Miss is going through a huge transition. You may not be aware of this, JC.
Levy left too.
They've lost all three coordinators.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, and special teams. And my high school teammate, who was his defensive back coach, Terrell Buckley, resigned on him.
Wow.
I don't know what's going on up in Oxford.
He may go back to calling plays now. I mean, perhaps.
Who?
Lane.
Lane hired Charlie Weiss Jr. as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. But
so Zook coaches special teams at Maryland. John says I knew Zucker was in Gainesville not too long ago. We got a couple of Facebook lives brought to you by Melvin Law. John says, QB, what do you think of Brian Daboll choosing the Giants job over the Dolphins job? If he had to pick, the Dolphins job is the better job, in my opinion.
I think Harbaugh's going to be in Miami. By the way, that's the name. Watch Jim Harbaugh at Miami be announced this week.
That's a great question, John. I don't really know their rosters very well. I don't know if I'd want either one of those jobs.
Yeah,
I mean, outside of the roster, just not even looking at players, I would say Miami because you have no state taxes and you have better weather. But the NFC East is maybe the worst division in all of football.
Yeah.
And you can turn it around quickly.
Yes, no doubt. You still got to deal with Buffalo if you go to Miami, but yeah,
and the Patriots.
Yeah. No, I hear you, but I'm predicting. I don't know why, but I have a feeling Jim Harbaugh may be going to Miami.
Well, Andy's going to disagree with you. He says Harbaugh to the Vikings because he's buddies with the general manager.
Okay, well, that would. Okay, well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, Minneapolis, Miami. I mean, now again, Green Bay may not have Aaron Rodgers to bother you, and you do have the Bears and the Lions in that division. But again, Minneapolis, Miami. It's a pretty easy one for me, but I can see it. Any job.
A lot of people like the roster that the Vikings have.
The Vikings have, yeah, sure. Jefferson's great.
We got a text on the Titan More text line. Hang on.
Cook.
Where did it go? It came from Johnny. Johnny says Kewan Ratliff's now on the FSU coaching staff. Yeah, Kewan is now hired as their director of player relations or something along those lines. He's not actually a coach. He's one of those off the field between the players and the community, and kind of does what Vernell Brown does here now. But it's weird. I saw a picture of Kewan in his FSU gear, and boy, that looked weird.
Oh, that's strange. Yeah, that can't look normal. But anyway, it was a good weekend, man. We had a great weekend. Basketball was good.
Did you watch any golf at Torrey Pines?
I did, and I tell you what, Luke List for sitting there for 2 hours, and who would have thought that 15 under would have held up for him? But it did, and you got to feel bad for Zalatoris. He just missed that putt that could have won it for him, and that happens. That's okay. He'll get another chance. That kid's a very talented player, as you know, and. I think it also showed that John Rahm is going to be a threat this year to win a lot of golf tournaments. But good for Luke List. I think that's probably his first win. So
it is his first win.
Yeah, so he's on his way to.
Do you know where Luke List played college golf?
Don't tell me it was Georgia.
No,
okay.
It's an SEC school though.
Oh, really? I'll say, how about Auburn, South Carolina?
He's a commode. He's a Vanderbilt commode.
Vanderbilt Commodore. Well, if Les Vanderbilt gets their football issues figured out, I am no longer considering them an SEC school, although they do play good baseball. But
before we let you go, we're going to recap the weekend Peachtree Dental weekend picks. We tied in golf. We both had John Rahm and Jason Day both tied for third at 14 under par, one shot back. So we tied there. In the football, and then I think in the basketball, we didn't have the spreads. We just picked winners. I think we tied there. We both went. We only had like one loss each. I think we went 9-1.
Yeah, we were pretty good on that. Yeah, we're pretty good on
but then in football, JC took a beating. He goes 1-3. I went 3-1.
I took the overs and you took the unders. Okay.
Well, you get to pick first. You love the overs.
No, my first pick was the Cincinnati Bengals +7, bro. That was my first pick. And you took the Chefs. I mean, I don't blame you for taking KC. The whole world seemed to be on Kansas City. So I think the books did very well yesterday. I do think the fans got their money back on San Fran. Now, a lot of folks took that 3.5, and that's what did it. Now, when you're betting on these games, you don't have to. If you wanted the Rams, you could buy that half down and just pay a little extra, and you would have pushed, and that would have saved your bet. So, that half point is sticky. It's not so sticky. I'm saying you don't have to have it. You don't have to lay the half point. You can buy it down, as they say, for a little extra.
John says, how does Josh McDaniels do in his second chance with the Raiders? I think he's a really good play caller. He's got a good quarterback now. I like Derek Carr. Yeah. It'll be interesting. I forgot he was hired by the Raiders.
Yeah,
everybody thought he was going to hang around and take over the Patriots, but I guess he's realized that Belichick may never retire.
Yeah, good point. And I think it's funny that Hackett went to Denver. Yeah, this Green Bay. They want Aaron Rodgers so bad there they can't stand him. So they can't help themselves. So they hire the OC. I don't know if that'll work. If it'll work to get Aaron Rodgers to Denver. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers wants to go to Denver. Frankly, it's not an easy division. It might be the hardest in football, actually. So we'll see. But Denver would do well to get somebody like Aaron Rodgers.
Don't rule out the 49ers.
I'm not going to rule them out, but I tell you, it's just amazing to me how a quarterback, how that one position changes everything. And Cincinnati is the best example of that. And certainly,
it's the most important position in all of sports. All of sports.
Yeah, so much responsibility. But it also worked the other way around for Stafford. He went to a team that was just a lot better with a better coach and a better situation. So it worked for him.
Well, he would have been that guy in Detroit if they put players around him. They never put players around him.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, right. I agree. The Lions have been a miserable failure of a football organization for as long as you can remember, kind of like the Bengals. The Bengals were really bad for 30 years, dude. They never won a playoff game since the 90s, early 90s. So crazy.
They haven't won a playoff game before you could text.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, Joe Burrow's done everything for that organization, and it's just exponentially gotten better for them. And I'm really happy for them. I mean, they got fans. They've got fans out there. They do. But you never had to see them because they've never been winning. But they'll be all over Southern California. You can bet on that. Bengal fans will be all over Southern California.
Okay, before we let you go, John's got a college football comment question here. He says, Cristobal down in Miami just lost his OC to go coach wide receivers at Georgia. 2 months on the job, and Cristobal still doesn't have an OC or a DC. Please keep an eye on your Miami friends.
I just don't think that school invests in football. I don't know what they do with all the ACC money, but their facilities are crap. They don't have a stadium. And I don't know. Mario wanted to go back home, I guess, but he's going to an empty theater, and he's going to have to sell tickets to get people in there because I don't know what they do with the money is what I'm saying. The ACC pays off huge dollars with the television contract, And in 2025, I guess, or 26, when the new TV deal is there, they'll reap the benefits, but they don't seem to reinvest it in their football program. They just don't. They don't even play in a stadium within 20 miles of their campus or 10 miles of their campus. So it's a joke. I think the whole program's a joke.
Dan says they spent all their money on NIL deals.
Well, it's just amazing. Think about what has Miami done with all of the TV money in the last 5 years. What have they done with it? It's not.
I guess they did. Well, they just paid. I guess they paid to get Mario Cristobal. I don't know what he's making.
Crazy to me. They've had a lot of turnover. You know, Al Golden, whoever that is, and it's just been one failed maneuver after another. I think Mario will do better there, but how can you do much worse, right? It's just been Manny Diaz. Why did Manny Diaz get that job? Come on. It's about saving money. I just don't think they want to spend money and invest in their program at Miami. And that's what fans need to understand. I think they're starting to come around to it.
All right. One last question here. Not a question, but a comment before we let you go. Since you are a big tennis player, JC, with all your athleticism, Dan says, how about Nadal winning his 21st Grand Slam?
He's down 2 sets. It's over, right? And he wins 3 in a row to beat Daniil Medvedev of Russia. You know, I cheer when Russians lose. I do. But Medvedev is, got him down 2 sets. I don't know how he lost. Nadal is just a great, great player. He's a finisher. Him and Djokovic, to me, are the 2 best. And what happened to Djokovic, I'll save for another day. Probably never. We won't need to talk about it. But the Nadal won this without Joker. And the Joker, to me, is the best player in the world. So.
Jerry has a text for us here. I'm gonna let you answer this, JC, because I don't really follow any of this. He goes, "Hey guys, how excited are y'all for the Winter Olympics to start? Will y'all watch?"
Look, I am all for supporting athletes. I am not for where they're going, and I will leave it at that. And I hate that NBC's got this coverage. I'm really about as interested in that as I am trimming the hedges outside. That's how I feel about the Olympics. I would rather watch basketball and golf before I switch on to snowboarding or downhill skiing in China. So I'm no thanks. I'll pass. But I hope these athletes are safe. I hope they all come home safe. How do you know? How do you know what's going to happen in China? I'm sure nothing will happen. But I'm not going to go glorify that country by watching the Olympics. No thanks. I'll pass.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the opening ceremonies are this weekend.
Nobody's even going to be in the venues either. I mean, they don't want to allow any fans.
Oh, they're not. Nobody's going to be at any sporting event.
Right. So what are we watching here? It's like practice. We're going to go watch practice, and then they're going to hand out a little medal for your winning. I don't care. I just don't care. And I used to love the Winter Olympics, but I loved it when it was in Norway and when it was even in Russia, in Sochi. It was fun to watch. I got into it, but it's in China, bro, and I'm not into that. No thanks. I'll pass. So
JC, if there was one event say the Winter Olympics were not in China, and JC, you could choose one event to participate as an athlete, which one would you want to do?
Oh, it has to be downhill skiing, man. That is just the greatest thing. Seeing these guys and gals go 80 miles an hour down a mountain. That to me would be a great thrill. If I was able to do something like that, I would want to be a downhill skier.
More than the luge or bobsledding?
That's lunacy right there. The bobsled is a little bit safer, I think, than a luge, but to lay on your back and go down, but see, I love watching those sports. I even love watching curling. I love watching them brush the thing, I love watching all of this kind of stuff because it's something we don't watch, and yet they went and ruined it by sending it over to China. So I'm sorry. I feel bad. I liked it when it was in Japan too, But yeah, no.
JC, John says you probably like watch figure skating.
To me, figure skating. Well, I couldn't tell you what was good or bad in figure skating. It's like gymnastics. These little subtle things that the judges look for, I have no idea about. I think it's totally discretionary and arbitrary on how you win in that sport. And so to me, judging and who gets the right score, that's, remember the old saying, watch out for the Russian judge, right? So those sports are kind of I'm not sure about. But downhill skiing, I mean, it is what it is. When you go across, the clock starts, and when you come across, the clock stops, and there is no controversy as to who wins that. So I think that's my favorite sport is skiing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Go get ready. Get ready to hunker down for the Winter Olympics, JC.
Okay.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take our first time out. Come back, get to some of your Facebook Live and your Titan MR text. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. If you missed it, Gators had a big win basketball. I want your guys' thoughts on this. I know a lot of people have been very critical of Mike White and his coaching or what have you, but to come from 16 down in a crucial must-win game, I thought we played extremely hard. I thought, he made an adjustment at halftime, came out with a totally different starting lineup of kids that hadn't played, which was great to see those guys perform. Andy says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, we know you can still outshoot the Gators basketball team from beyond the arc, but you have to admit they are improving. Look, I'm all for these kids. I think they play hard. I just think we have a hard time scoring at times, but we made some shots. Tyree Appleby made some crazy he takes some of the craziest shots. He's one of those guys, no, yes, good shot. He's one of those kind of guys. So, I don't know who we play next. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I should have gotten that before the show started. But we had a rough stretch there playing all those games with the makeup game with Ole Miss. And then losing Jatobo really hurts. I thought he was playing extremely well. And so now, when will we get Colin Castleton back? Time will tell. Dan says he liked the move of putting Lane in. Yeah, Lane made some plays. Not sure why he hasn't been. I think there's a reason why he hasn't been playing this year. Somebody told me, and I can't remember what it was. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, it was a quality 2 win. Dang it. Let's see if I can find it. But give Mike White credit. He made some adjustments and turned the heat up on. Look, I don't care if it was a quad 10 win. You had to win the basketball game. I get it. Oklahoma State's not a great team. I want to say Oklahoma State won at Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. So they have a couple good wins on their resume as well. But it was a game we had to win, and we did. So give those kids credit coming from way, way behind. Daniel says, tell JC I can handle them hedges. And he will drive down from Georgia. Okay. We play Missouri on Wednesday at Missouri, I believe. That's a tough place to play for some reason for us. Pretty much for everybody. They had Auburn on the ropes the other day. So we'll see. Conzo Martin's team plays usually pretty physical and gets after it. I wouldn't think Missouri would have a great crowd there, but it's a game we need to find a way to win. Andy says Applebee's had an MJ-like step back three in the second half. That was amazing. Yeah, those step back threes scare me. Like I told you, it's please don't shoot that. And then when he makes it, you're like, yes, good shot. But that's the way it goes. But yeah, big weekend in sports. Gator Gymnastics win again, I believe. We're going to have Tim Walton and Sully on here in the next week or so before they get cranked up, and don't like to bother them once their season gets cranked up. But we're going to have both of them, and we're going to have Vernon Maxwell on Wednesday. If you have any questions for Vernon, be sure to tune in and shoot them to us. We're hoping to have him live. I'm going to find out today if he's going to be live, or we're going to have to tape him. But we've been trying to get him on for quite some time. He was just recently in Gainesville. I think they retired his jersey, or they did something for him at Buchholz High School along with Lamar Thomas. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Alabama's a tough team to figure out. They lose to bad teams, but also have wins over Baylor and Gonzaga. Yeah, they are they're a team that can cause a lot of problems once the tournament starts, but they have some bad losses as well. Daniel says, I hope Nape has a great day Wednesday and shocks the world on the little time he's had to recruit. Yeah, I know a lot of Gator fans are excited for Wednesday. You know, I don't know if a lot of people around the country, you know, now that they have the early signing period, that, you know, this Wednesday, first Wednesday in February is not a big deal. But I think it is. It's going to be exciting for Gator fans to see who he gets to flip or what have you. I haven't heard the most recent stuff on the Harold Perkins, if any of you guys have. We all know he decommitted for Texas A&M last week or 2 weeks ago. A lot of people think it's between Florida and LSU, I believe. I haven't seen any videos of him dancing with Brian Kelly, though, so that could be a good thing. Let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind, our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience, great culture and benefits, and opportunity for growth. $1,000 signing bonus for qualified positions. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, back in 1988, at Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, the Washington Redskins beat the Denver Broncos 42-10. Doug Williams was your MVP for the Washington Redskins. I want to say they scored on a deep ball. Oh, no, I want to say the Broncos scored on like the first play of that game on a deep ball, and then it was all Redskins from there on out, if I remember correctly. John says Harold Perkins and Jacoby Matthews, no relation, had a good time at LSU, so we'll see. My question to y'all, all the people that follow recruiting, speaking of what y'all just said there, that they had a good time, have you ever heard a recruit come back and say, man, I hated my time at School X? You know, I've just never heard anybody say that. Maybe they have. Judge says, I think we get Perkins, but Matthews goes to LSU. So we shall see. I don't know what time those guys are signing on Wednesday. I'm sure all the networks will be there and they'll have their hats and all that good stuff. I miss that. You don't get to see it quite as much anymore. So exciting times ahead. Mary says, I hope he chooses coaches over a clown. Yeah, the whole Brian Kelly thing, it's fascinating why he's doing that. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're going to take our final time out of today's program. When we come back, we'll wrap it up, get a few more texts in. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. It's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Tomorrow we'll have Buddy Martin and hopefully Blake Alderman to give us a recap the day before National Signing Day to see what he predicts is going to happen. And then Wednesday, we'll have Vernon Maxwell join the program. Make sure you tune in for that. Eric says, any news on the Rams OC interviewing with the Jags? Have not heard that. I don't even know who their OC is, quite honestly, because Sean McVay calls their plays. Before we get out of here, John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. Did anyone see Deion tweeting at the recruit from Miami? I guess no one's told him the rules. Yeah, that was a rules violation. I did hear about that. Because you cannot tweet at a player that is not one of your players. I think once he signs in your program, you can tweet and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it was very interesting. I don't know if Deion knew those rules. Obviously, he knows the rules. He probably just kind of overlooked it, trying to get in touch or just tweet something to that kid. As we said, Gators play Wednesday at Missouri, and tomorrow we'll have Buddy Martin and hopefully Blake Alderman joining the program. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, and if you're a Bengals fan or a Rams fan, enjoy your week. We got 2 weeks. I don't know if I like the 2 weeks in between the championship game and the Super Bowl, but it is what it is. So we have time to rehash and break down the game. So enjoy your day, folks. Appreciate you tuning in. Tell all your friends and family to follow our program. Today's show is a wrap brought to you by Wrap Spot. See you tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.